Welcome to Facts.
This is 127 Unthank Road.
By the Artisan Fudge Shop.
David Barber's address.
I don't know what they're doing. Looks like they keep pulling over.
We had a miscommunication in the car, Ray.
Norwich has changed so much.
I'm sorry, it does happen.
Do we go past the fudge shop?
The tension is killing me.
Should we just keep going to David's?
Yeah, we'll meet them there.
I feel like maybe I should give Greg another try.
Yeah, why don't you call him?
You get a text.
Well, I'll pull over quickly and jump out.
Can I call you later?
Sure, I'm in Norwich. Grab a slab of nougat and pecan.
Norwich! Exclamation mark. Wow! Exclamation mark. I'm over in
Kettering.
Glasgow.
Nigeria.
Biggleswade.
Northampton.
That's where I got my shoes.
Do you text that back?
Yeah, so is it what? Is it by weight or is it
Gotta go.
100 grams a slide?
Got a body on the slab. Winky face.
Yeah, well, we'll get two then, please.
Dark.
How much? My God.
He's an undertaker.
It is artisan.
Be good to catch up later anyway.
Greg is typing.
Got some things to tell you. ...
Ka-ding. This is crazy. I got a message from Sarah. I haven't heard from you for 20 years. I hadn't heard from Sarah for 20 years. What's going on?
I told you we need to talk.
I can be in Norwich.
Tonight?
Perfect.
I got praline flavour.
You just feel a little twitch in your crotch.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, am I getting a bit turned on by this tension?
Or IPA flavour.
Give me a computer use roll.
To look up a pub on Google Maps.
Backseat jamming.
A complete and utter angler.
What about that old pub? Adam and Eve! Exclamation mark.
Done! Exclamation mark.
And at the word Eve, you feel this engorgement.
Eric, did you hear what I said?
I sort of put my phone over my crotch.
I got praline flavour or IPA flavour. Who were you texting?
Greg's going to be here tonight as well. I said I'm meeting around the corner from where you're meeting Mari.
I look him up and down and I go, are you sure it was just Greg you were texting? Only you've got a massive boner.
Oh, fuck it, Alicia. I think I fucked it with those pills.
I crack off some praline fudge, shove it in my mouth. How many did you take, Eric?
4, I think. Why the fuck is that guy dealing Viagra?
Such a decadent scene. Someone just chubbing themselves silly and the other one sat next to them eating fudge outside a cathedral.
This version of Angelica sits in the back.
She's put this bold invitation forward, like, let's go to David's.
And every now and then she reaches her hand over to Raman, and Raman enthusiastically responds.
It makes me feel a bit safer about him being back there.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
You know that Elliot chap?
He sells stuff to Mum.
He did say something about Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan did come by.
I always had a bad vibe off the guy.
David says that there are many paths to power.
You and David are close.
He says I've got potential.
All good stuff, I hope.
What happened to you all? Why did you all stop?
Life happens.
I think it's probably time anyway.
Time to meet.
Don't you find it exciting?
Well, sometimes it's exciting, but sometimes it's frightening.
Why did Mum get in touch with you?
Once you open that door, things come in and out. And you're not always in charge of what comes in and out.
She didn't talk about a curse.
Not to me.
Be careful before you let David commit you to anything.
Your destination is on the right.
I find her voice very soothing.
If we said the word Moonchild to you, Angelica, would that mean anything?
Probably about 3.5 minutes doing a parallel park.
Are you sure about this, Angelica?
If you feel unsafe at any time, I want you to say the word heart.
Is it alright if Mel and I have a word alone?
Raman probably needs the loo anyway.
Did you ever sleep with him?
David?
He was really beautiful then.
Yeah, he was.
We're in the middle of a ritual.
He's got a lot of years on you.
Once you know that all of this is just imagined.
Oh, Christ.
Feel protective towards you.
We're the centre of the stars.
What are you going to say to Bridget?
She looks taken aback.
What's your plan?
And then you hear the voice.
Why don't you tell her about me? Hello, Alicia. I'm so glad you could make it.
Who's there?
You're exactly what David needs.
Hello, Eric.
It's Maggie.
He has some speed and some cocaine.
It's not Maggie.
Left-hand draw.
All right, Ray.
Raman?
It's the voice of your fucking dog in your head, you prick.
Shit.
Run or I'll fucking take your eyes out.
Fuck.
You fucking monster.
Do we need to roll sanity for all that?
Was that my real dad?
Did I see someone have a moment of absence? Now, before today, neither of you had a problem.
I do have a bit of a history though, don't I?
Something else just comes back into your mind, which is the inscrutable Angelopoulos. As you say that, you see his right eye just sort of slight slumps again.
You all right, Eric?
I'm fine, just My foot.
I think you're having a stroke, Eric.
No, I'm fine. I'm just
Shoveling my lower eyelid back up into my eye.
No, that's not.
As you do that, and the two of you become aware that Ray sort of snaps back.
Like trying to plaster a wall with yogurt.
That was disgusting. No.
It was Halloween.
It's the anniversary of... And I hold my hand up. I don't finish the sentence.
What are you muttering about, Ray?
And you see the scar as he says it's the anniversary and stops himself.
This isn't an accident.
Oh. Fuck.
We've been brought here for a reason. This cannot be a coincidence. It's patterns. Everything is about patterns.
Why would he try and drag us all back here when he's picking us off? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up.
We're all linked. The 13 of us are linked. It was my idea.
The last thing we should have done is come to Norwich.
Alicia, could you give me a power roll?
That's a success.
She's suddenly lit by a halo as a door opens. She's extremely attractive to you both in that moment.
Eric, it's time to use your belt, I think.
Eric gets an enormous hard-on.
I could sort it out. I think, like, if I can lay my hands on some diazepam, that will take the edge off.
You already know, Alicia, that he's behind you, that he's in the door. It's David, and he's just stood in the doorway
Of his house.
and he takes a few steps out and says, "Friends, I'm so glad you could be here." The Apocalypse Players present The Moonchild by Paul Fricker, a 7th edition Call of Cthulhu Scenario from the Nameless Horrors collection. Starring Dominic Allen as Alicia Juico, Danan McAleer as Ray West, Jeannie Spark as Melinda Moody, Dan Wheeler as Eric Wilson, and Joseph Chance as your keeper of the arcane lore. So, Jeannie, Angelica says this thing where you've asked her this difficult question about what do you honestly expect Bridget's going to do?
Yeah.
You did this flip turn with a successful skill roll, and you made it about how would you feel? You're a woman. How would you feel if someone just came in and tried to take your man away from you? And it caused her to halt, but I think she rallies in that point and goes, David loves me, and that's the difference. I don't think he loves Bridget anymore. Of course he loved her once, and if I'm honest, I'm sure that means she will be too.
All right.
And you see the blazing armour of a believer go back up. The mask goes back up.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably going to be the end of my attempting to question her.
Yeah, so maybe there's
Rattle.
maybe you purse your lips, or you do one of those habits you have with your hair. And as you do, you hear this very cultured voice in your ear, your left ear, the roadside, say, "Hello.
Fucking hell.
I've been so hoping we can speak.
Fuck.
It was nice that you were the only one who saw me
Fuck.
back at the accident.
Fucking hell, who's that?
I've been really hoping that we might manage to spend some time together.
Who the fuck's that?
I don't think she's the special one.
No. Okay, I'm hearing a voice. Is anyone else hearing it? Angelica, are you
I
hearing
think
that?
you might be.
No.
Ray, give me a spot hidden.
Yeah.
So Angelica says, No, are you all right? Wait, are you hearing a voice?
Yeah, I am, yeah. And this isn't a voice that I recognise?
No.
Okay.
You've never heard this voice before? psychologically something is happening in front of you, but unfortunately you're going to have to pass a sanity roll before you can have a go at psychology roll.
Oh, bums.
So do you know what? If you were to pass them both in a single roll, that would be very advantageous.
Well, wouldn't it?
I succeeded on mine, spot hidden. I was close to a hard.
You do see from the calm in the car, it is your car after all. So I'll give you the spot hidden. Eric, I think you're too busy with your cock and your melting eye to get that spot hidden.
That's fine, that's fair enough.
All been there.
And the weird voice.
But I tell you what, Eric, give me a spot hidden as well, but it's not about the car. It's not about the car, because David's just come out. So David's come out, and in the same time, you see Mel sort of swinging her head around, and there's some kind of gesticulation. So you could walk those 4 yards back to the car and open the door and go and talk to them if you wanted. Or you could turn around and talk to David. It's sort of 50-50.
So I have failed. It's not quite a fumble. 1 point off a fumble.
Yeah, so I think you're the echo of this vision of Alicia, and also now David sort of walking, and he's just said, "Hello, my friends. I'm so glad you could make it. Why don't you come in? Let's have a cup of tea." Meanwhile, Santi roll for Melinda Moody.
Past it. Not by much.
Past it.
Yeah, 45 on a 58.
Yeah.
So you just hear this, "Well, look, I can see you're busy, so I'll talk to you again another time.
Who the fuck?
Or maybe you could use your little trick and you could ask to talk to me."
Who the fuck are you? How can I ask to talk to you if I don't know who you are?
So did you also pass your psychology roll as you say that?
Diddly dum, diddly dum.
Which is, the same roll. I'm like, Santi, what did you roll on your SAN?
45.
Would it also have passed your psychology? I think it might have done. I seem to remember she's quite good.
Psychology. I'm just looking.
I think it's...
Just finding it. Yes.
Yeah, so you lose no sanity,
That's lucky.
and you see that there's a moment of recognition on Angelica's face. She said, and then she says, I think we should go in. That's David, I can see him. And she starts moving towards the door.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, all right, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you get out, obviously your door is on the left-hand side.
I just want to get out of the car. I don't want to be in that enclosed space anymore.
Yeah, whereas she's sort of going across the back to go out of the right-hand side onto the pavement side. As you get out, Jeannie, give me a spot hidden with a bonus die.
Ooh.
You see David, and he smiles as he sees you.
Absolute fumble. 91 on 35.
No, not a fumble, just close though. 91 and 35. Okay, right.
What would it have to be a fumble?
90.
A 96 or above for that.
How do you know that?
Because we play this game quite a lot.
2 years. 2 years. Almost every week for 2 years.
Why don't I know that?
Well, it's hard to remember these things.
Playing with the big boys is sometimes baffling.
If you've got a skill of 50 or more, it's got to be
No, I don't. Do you know what? I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Like the TV. I like that the TV works. I don't need to know how it works. It's just nice that it works.
It's an excellent point.
Yeah. As long as it tells me a story, I'm happy.
So it was a 91, but because you've got your bonus die, could you re-roll your 9 for me? Or your 90?
I could, yeah. 80.
Oh, shit. Okay, right, yeah. So you get out, and you're walking along. Just out of interest, which side of the car do you go around, back or front?
I follow Angelica.
Yeah, so front. You go around the front,
Yeah,
that's logical.
yeah.
So you're all moving up towards David, who's standing on his lawn. There's this halo of light around, and that's probably enough to distract you. That's the thing, isn't it? And Alicia in that moment looks so statuesque. You've never seen her look like that since university days. And I think maybe in that moment you're distracted enough, and that's when you realise he's standing right next to you. The man in the tweed suit with the gold glasses, and he just smiles. He's got this wicked smile, which is a little bit too wide, and he says, "I'm serious. You could do it here, couldn't you?
Who the fuck are
You don't even need cards."
Who are you? What?
So you all hear her say this, and she sort of physically moves, and it breaks the spell. And David's frown comes in, and Alicia looks like the ruined 42-year-old antique stealer that she is.
Wow. Ouch.
Ouch. Can you hear me, Dom? Are you there, Dom?
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy
You're not going to get a job writing articles for women's magazines, let me tell you that.
And David, you suddenly see...
I'm actually 44.
44, sorry, no, I knew you were the eldest. David, you suddenly, that sort of beatific appearance where he looked like a kind of friendly friar, you suddenly see that he's put on a ton of weight and he looks puffy. It looks like, instantly, all of you recognize that it looks like weight from drugs.
Right.
Depressants, antidepressants, uppers, downers,
Big
you know,
fucking
feel
head.
what, but he's got that classic steroids puffiness. And he is a shadow of his former beauty.
Wow.
Really big shadow.
And yet, there's still something there. It's almost like, for a moment, it's almost like you can see it in his chest.
Yeah.
Sort of almost like the light that's behind him, and that you remember that passionate, charismatic, and yet leader quality is still burning there somehow. And yet, atop it, there's this sort of grease of life. And it's 127 The Elms off Unthank Road. A rather nicely appointed, presumably 4-bedroom house. It looks like a back extension. Nice, well-tailored lawn, cars parked up and down. Alicia's parking was magnificent.
Naturally.
And it's enough to make everybody hesitate. This reaction.
Oh, not the parking.
That was almost enough to make everybody stop in their socks.
That gave us pause.
My God, it's beautiful.
Never seen anything so parallel.
There is, of course, now nobody there. Mel, there is nobody there.
Well, I just
Mel,
run into the
you all right, Mel? What?
No, I'm not.
What's the matter?
It's just that guy. Do you remember we saw the motorbike crash, and then I saw a man there who wasn't there. One of the weird visions. He was just next to me now, and he just spoke to me in the car a minute ago. I just
heard a voice.
I think he's dead, but I don't know. He was right here next to me, and he said he wanted me to talk to him, and I could talk to him any time, and I didn't need to use. He said, you don't need to do your trick. You don't need to use your cards. It means, like, tarot cards and Ouija boards and all the stuff that we did when we were younger.
So it's all right, Mel.
It's freaking
David
me out. It's not all right.
Yeah.
If I was to speak softly to Mel, is David within earshot, or is he sort of?
Well, I think as he's approaching, he says, "What a strange conference in the street. Won't you come in? Oh, Angelica. I wasn't expecting you here, but, well, it's probably right, isn't it? Yes, it's probably right. Oh, Alicia." And he seems to make a beeline for you, Alicia. You are technically the closest. And Mel is still technically the furthest away with Eric. So the other two of you are on the roadside with Angelica quite close to you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, Ray, you could grab Angelica, Ray, easy. Not that maybe you're thinking that, but...
I probably shouldn't.
Ramen is alert.
Yeah.
Is Ramen in the papoose, or is he out?
He is. I've put him in there since I saw David. I think that was an instant scoop up and into the old pappy.
Into the old pappy.
Yeah, the old pappy.
Less said about that, the better.
Aye, that left pappy.
Yeah.
Where heart doth pup.
Hey! 2 people will get that, and they'll be off. But I think, I'm personally perturbed by having seen Melinda, this thing, and I know that I've just heard a voice. So the fact she's talking about seeing and hearing this figure makes me wonder if it's the same person, but I kind of feel like I'm going to, all my attention's on David right now, because he's the unknown quantity that's just appeared, so I think I'm
sorry, David. I met them by the bus stop. I thought it was best that I come, seeing how important these next few days are. Yes, Angelica, yes, I understand. It's so good that you've met my old friends. Alicia, it's so good to see you.
What's going on, David?
Yeah, David, I think you ought to give us an idea of what's going on here.
Come in, let's have a sherry.
We messed around a little bit, I think.
Let's all have a sherry. I'll get Bridget to lay some more plates for dinner.
right.
I wish you'd called ahead.
All of us. I thought you were expecting us.
I think you knew we were coming, didn't you, David?
I could still wish that you could call ahead, Ray. So technical, always. I see that nothing's changed. They're lucky to have you. I'm sure you're making wonderful, secret, hidden worlds in pictures. Do they pay you well?
Yeah.
he reaches out his hand as he says that to Alicia, who he's sort of still closest to, and it's offered in a sort of handshake / gesture of connection.
Well, some things have changed, haven't they, David? Have you been
Tell me.
been looking after yourself?
Oh, the gods have not been kind. But then perhaps, well, we did ask questions, didn't we? And he winks. Could you all give me a power roll when he winks?
Yeah. Okay, I've just, passed 50 on a 60.
42 on 60.
2 passes.
Astonishing.
Perilously close to a fumble again, but
just a fail.
just a fail. I failed.
Well, you are closest.
Yeah, you were being yourself, and you realised that he's being himself, and there was a moment outside the English block at the UEA where you're just transported back. It's 6 p.m. It's a lovely spring evening. Before all of the events that happen that same year, later in autumn, and he reaches his hand out to you with this gesture, and you take his hand, and he winks at you, and he just leans in and he whispers and says, "You know, Alicia, you'll always have the finest understanding of what has gone before, and you know that what has gone before is really only ever what is to come. You know that better than all of us. When the time comes, you'll be the one to keep us on the path of what happened."
Right.
And then you're back. You're away from that moment on the campus, and you know, it's just really good to see your old friend. And it's nice that he's being honest with you. You see that he's nervous about Angelica in that moment as well. He flicks his eyes across to her, and I think there's a sort of pleading quality where he's sort of imploring you with his eyes, but then he sort of comes back to the group in this. Whereas the rest of you see this hand gesture where he takes Alicia's hand and he just sort of leans in slightly. Doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, he just looks at her. And you all sort of see it and you feel left out. You feel horribly rejected. It's Alicia. He's chosen Alicia. Like if he'd chosen Maggie, you could understand. I mean, like, she's really beautiful. And he always had a soft spot for... And then you sort of pull yourselves out of it, and you kind of go, "What? Why am I thinking these negative? What? Or you have your reaction, whatever your reaction might be. But you feel like like when an ex doesn't pay you attention, just cuts you, but not because they're being mean, they're just not looking at you, and that hurts.
Yeah, I've only ever done it. I've never received it.
And anything for my failed power roll, or not really?
Yes, sorry, I thought you'd passed it. My apologies.
No, that's fine. I mean, it might be that because I'm not that close. Maybe a boner goes down. It doesn't have. Though that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I think you feel. Yes, no, of course you would. You feel that sense of rejection, but it's like as he comes up and looks across at Angelica, he scans across to you and then looks at you next and says, "Why don't you come in? I think it's fair to say that we've all changed. Thank goodness, the goddess has granted us change. The horror of stasis. Come on, Angelica, you know the way." And she sort of skips past him in that moment.
I'd like to say something just as she skips past, and I have this feeling of rejection. Maybe not strong.
She slows, but she's like 10 yards away now, and he's sort of taken a step away and turns around and goes, "Ray?"
Well, just a moment. David, listen. We've been talking with, we've been in town, we've talked to Sarah, and we've had a bit of a chat with Angelica, and that's all,
I'm so glad you saw Sarah.
Yes, so are we. Now, I don't want to put you in a difficult position. I certainly more so don't want to put Bridget in a difficult position. So perhaps it's worth having a conversation here before we enter for dinner. Because we know some things that have been going on. I'll say that now. And I don't want to put Bridget in the situation where we have to pretend we don't know, or we have to talk around certain issues. How's about we are just honest with each other right now, before we sit down for some fake dinner? And I'm not saying it's not good to see you again, it is. But let's be honest, shall we? In the spirit of the friendship we had those years back. What's been going on?
Of course. Of course we should be honest.
I want you to have the same opportunity to tell us your version of events. Because from where I'm standing, just so you know, it sounds like you've been not exactly acting in a morally upright way, shall we say. And I'm not attacking you, but I'd like to know what your version is before we go and sit down for a family meal.
Moral uprightness. Well, Ray.
Now listen, you know I'm not a religious man. You know I'm not coming at this from a 10 Commandments, oh, thou hast sinned sort of way. You know, I'm an open-minded fella. But I just mean when you're hurting people, or when your actions are hurting other people or affecting your friends, that's when sometimes you need to have a word. And I think that's what we're here to do. And I'm happily going to accept, I think we will accept your invitation, but let's not pretend there's nothing weird about this situation, shall we? We're all grown-ups now. Let's not pretend that we're still in the woods, slicing open our hands. And let's not pretend we're still in the uni society, drinking 5 snake bites and black and having a whale of a time, because we're not. And there's people who are hurt. So have you got anything to say to us about all that?
I do. Yes, I do, my friend. I see that you're hurting. I have to ask Mel a question.
I'm fine. I do my yoga every morning.
Good. Oh, good. You do look as if you're in wonderful shape.
Thank you. Pet ramen.
And your dog seems so full of positive energy.
Oh, he is. He keeps me going. Now, shall we?
Yes. No, let's ask Mel a question.
Well, that's not what I asked, but fine. It leads to the point.
It'll lead to your answer.
Well, if Mel,
Right.
you're happy answering a question, let's see.
All right. Yeah.
Mel, can you see his chakras as you once used to do?
I don't. It's been a long time since I've practiced any of that. I've let it go.
Do you still need the table?
I don't. What is it? What are you trying to ask me? What do you want to find out from me?
I'm asking if you still have the gift.
To be honest, I feel much the same as Ray. I'm pleased to see you, but we're different people than we were 20 years ago, and I am concerned about what's been going on with Angelica and Sarah. You're going to need to really convince me that you're not fucking these people's lives up for your own benefit.
Yeah.
Did I fuck your lives up for my own benefit?
That's not what I'm asking. It's a different question.
You all walked away from me. All of you. Even you, Alicia. Even you.
Don't turn yourself into the victim in this. That's a really cheap way of turning the conversation around. I'm asking you what's happening now with this teenage girl.
A part of the victim that we all are.
Yeah,
we are a victim of being the small ones upon a great, guided, hurtling chariot. You remember, if you look truly, deeply inside, you will see the force and power and vision of the Occult Society lives on in us all. And yes, it lives on in Angelica too, because she chose it. She steps forward and she says, "That's right. That is right."
Right, Angelica, you're an adult legally, and I've no problem with you. I've no problem with you at all, and you've chosen this, and that's fine. Now, David, you're not a teenager anymore, and I'm sorry, but I have to say, yes, I didn't see you since you were hospitalised. But that's for a myriad of reasons. And people grow apart, and there's reasons behind that. And I'm sorry that, your life... I mean, you seem to be... You have a lovely house here. You have a lovely wife. I mean, I'd love to see Bridget, but...
She's just inside. Why don't we take some sherry?
Well, because we should sort this out first. Does she know about what's been going on?
Sorry, my hip is really giving me a lot of jip at the moment. I'd love to go inside and sit down, if that's all right. If you want to all continue this conversation outside, maybe I could just sit. Do you have a front room? I could just rest my legs in, David, for a minute on the sofa.
Of course. Why don't you... Hey, why don't you and I and anyone else who wants to go in can go in. And Mel. You could continue your conversation out here. That's fine. I just need a little sit down. Well, Angelica, why don't you take him in, and the rest of us will stay outside. And then why don't you come back and join us? Because I think Ray and Mel would very much like you to stay here for this part of the conversation. Does that sound like that meets all of our needs? Alicia, what do you think?
I just think we could all do with sitting down together, with Bridget as well. Did I talk like this? Probably. And I think, yes. Good.
Unfortunately.
It's that intense.
Rich words, Merrick Wilson.
Indeed, and he spoke like that too. Yeah. Well, he does have a lot of money. Gave some of it to you.
Yes, all right.
Vulgar.
No need to bring it up, David.
I would never bring that up myself.
I think we might all benefit from sitting round a dinner table and talking frankly, openly, all of us, including Bridget, because I think that whatever's going on here and whatever, is to do with Angelica, I want to hear what Bridget thinks as well. I think it's time to lay out the full tapestry of what's going on so we can look at the stitching. That makes sense?
My only intention was to save Bridget any embarrassment if she didn't know the full picture. I wanted to give David an opportunity to... But I think you're right. If it's at that point, and if, David, you're, going to go around in circles about chakras and things, I mean, I believe in them as strongly as you do, maybe more strongly, but that's not the question. But if sitting down together is a better way of doing it, let's do that. I just didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
I take it you've got no secrets from Bridget, right?
The circle is only one part of the chakra array. I have secrets, of course. She has secrets. We're both humans. If the five of you, he includes Angelica, the five of you, forgive me, the six of you, and he goes over towards Ramen. And he looks like he's going to pet Ramen.
I have a real urge to stop him doing that, but I don't, because I think it's quite an irrational move.
Can you give me a power roll?
Yeah.
I also feel a cold wash of fear.
65 on my 60.
Would you like to spend some luck?
To stop him petting Ramen?
I think to stop you stopping him.
To pass your power roll? Or would you like to fail that?
Don't let him touch the dog.
I will allow... Or would you like to push the roll?
I'm gonna spend the luck. It's a very gut feeling, very sort of primal feeling of just like, no, not yet. You haven't earned that, even if there's nothing stranger than, potentially abuse here going on. You haven't earned the right to touch my precious ramen. So I spend 5 points of luck.
Yeah.
Assuming that's the way it was going.
Yeah. It's that he as he's walking, he just doesn't quite realise he's leaving the flat paving for a second, goes onto the grass, and then so he sort of stumbles, and then so his hand just sort of, he just doesn't quite get there, and it's a bit of an awkward moment, and he kind of rights himself. It's a tiny little moment.
Sorry,
you're
David,
sort of backing away.
I'll just say, sorry, he's not good with strangers. He wouldn't bite, but I'm just wary.
I understand. We can't have a dog. It would be so nice.
Why not? Allergic.
Allergies, yes.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't leave him out here, so perhaps if you lot are going inside, I should wait out in the garden. I'm fine with that.
Michael's not terribly allergic, but you know how it is after he was so ill. After he was so ill, it seemed... And his head hangs.
Do we know details about Michael's illness?
Not that you know of.
I'm asking as a player more than a...
Not that you know of. You've been completely out of touch.
No. So
That's time we've heard of it.
in which case I might say, oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I didn't realise Michael had been...
He's so much better now. He's made such a wonderful recovery, hasn't he?
Was it an immune thing? Or...
Cancer.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, David.
Oh, fuck.
He looks directly at Eric.
I bet he does.
Oh,
But nods. Just like very serious.
I didn't know.
Cancer.
Do you know what? I can leave him in the car with a couple of treats if we do go inside. Just for a bit, I'll be out to check, but I don't want to put him at any risk.
No.
That's a very serious...
It's Michael will be upstairs doing his work anyway. We'll be lucky to see him.
Well, as long as you're sure.
I'll ask him to calm down, of course. But
Well, when you do, I'll make sure Rama's out of the room.
so kind, Ray.
Well, you know.
Strange, given how hostile you're feeling, but kind.
Listen,
You were always and always will be such a mix. Won't we all? So, I think it's time to make a decision.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going in. That's all right with everyone
come on
else.
then. Yeah.
Alicia, will you?
If some of us are going in, let's go in.
Angelica, you'll take the others in, and Mel, if I could have a word.
All right.
You all right with that, Mel?
I don't know. I think, like, if we've got anything to say, we should say it in front of each other. I think the time for secrets... I take your facetious point, David, about all humans having secrets, but I think the time for secrets between us is over.
Very wise. Driven.
We were always stronger together, and I feel like now is the time for us to put all our cards on the table, and if there's some problem, which it sounds like there is, even though we're not too clear on what the problem is yet, I feel like we'll solve it better if we're all open and frank with each other. Allergies or no.
He puts his hand on his chest and he says, I couldn't agree with you more.
Well,
Allergies or no.
well, good then.
You make a convincing point.
He takes his hand away and there's a light there, the briefest of moments, that just dims under his shirt.
Iron Man.
Yeah. It's a sort of it's a sort of whitish gold colour and then it fades.
What did you want to ask me?
What?
Well,
David, what?
I think is it all right if poor Eric does sit down? Angelica, would you?
Yeah.
Please.
And the four of us will talk. And Eric will fill you in on everything, I promise.
No, that's fine.
So, Dan, you're gonna dash in with this raging hard-on.
And the teenager.
Yeah, sort of with my hand kind of covering it as if I've got my hand on my hip.
Yeah, and this attractive 16-year-old girl, you're finally
We just hear Bridget scream.
finally alone with. After thanking all that was pagan and holy.
I know.
We're not in the back of the car with her. You get up and obviously the door's still slightly open. She obviously knows the way and she walks ahead. She looks back at you with a sort of, as she would no doubt look back towards a kindly uncle.
With an erection.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm kind of hunched over, as I say, with my hand kind of like trying to disguise it,
Yeah.
discover it, but like as if I'm holding a sore hip.
She's completely failed her spot hidden, so she goes, I don't know if I can help at all. I could give you my arm, my hand.
No, that's all right. I just is this the front room?
I point to the door that I think must be the front room.
Well, let me just pull up that maps, because I don't want to in any way suggest that this is a location that could just be glossed over.
Understood.
Nor do I understand what the map is from memory. Fun times.
Fun times.
I'm very keen to find the front living room, and I assume if we've come in the front door,
You go
quite close.
You go through a tiny, one of those sort of, because it's a Victorian building. So
I know them well.
You go through that tiny sort of front area with the stacked, there's lovely tiles. stacked up umbrellas and boots and shoes and coats and hats. And then there's wooden flooring that leads along a little corridor, and then it's been turned open plan.
Oh.
It's a living room.
That's what my wife wants to do.
It's what everybody's wife in the Elms wanted to do, and David agreed.
I'll just sit down here.
And I sort of glance around the room and see if I can find the closest chair to a chest of drawers. If there
It
is
is.
a chest of drawers.
It is directly opposite chest of drawers, which is directly next to. It's between the fireplace and the television. There's a bay window to your right, which conveniently you can see Ray standing there, looking a little bit defensive, and Mel standing next to him.
Great. Well, I just sort of stumble into the chair for now, and
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be all right in a minute. Thanks, Angelica. Thank you.
You hear a voice from the kitchen go, "David, is it them?" And you recognise it as Bridget's lovely cultured tones. And you see all the colour go out of Angelica's face. And she goes, "I think I'll just go back outside now." And she positively dashes out, pulling the door almost fully closed. But nonetheless, one of those little latch. And so it clicks. Meanwhile, outside, did anybody have anything pressing they wanted to broach in the zone of this conversation?
Well, I feel like I'd asked whether or not he was going to be open with us out here, and then he'd asked to... But then Alicia's sort of thing of let's put all the cards on the table, I think was quite convincing. So I'm sort of happy to go along with that, even though Eric's gone in on his own. I think Alicia's...
But no new gambits in that moment that you were sort of pitching in with?
I don't think so.
I pull a gun and shoot him. No, I don't know.
If only you had a gun with you, right?
Well,
Maybe I just say, well, if you're happy enough, David, we'll have a sit down, and I think Alicia's thing about us all being stronger together, that's a fair point, and maybe part of our strength together was always our honesty together.
Yes.
So as long as you're sure Bridget won't be upset by anything that comes up, which you seem to be.
Do you remember when...
I think I've surreptitiously turned the voice recording app on my smartphone on.
Lovely. Absolutely.
Really nice.
Great call.
Why didn't I think of that?
Do you remember when...
Well, you're
you're
the
not a journalist.
I'm in IT, but that's rubbish. Yeah. I'll start making a video game about it. Sorry, yeah.
Do you remember when John used to try to teach Greg how to read the cards?
I think so.
He smiles, a rich, warm smile, and you see in that moment how handsome he can, could, was, be, is, should, couldn't, mustn't ever be. And he says, "I don't know why Greg just couldn't get it. He didn't have the gift." And he looks at you, Mel. "Some of us have the gift naturally."
I feel a bit nervous, and I take a step towards Ray and Alicia.
"Others can learn it." And he looks at Ray and Alicia. And then he sort of casts his eye back to the living room to Eric and say, "And some of us resist learning it with all of our strength." As he looks at Eric, and there's a wave of disappointment that goes across his features. You realise that it's you aren't actually having to try and work out what he's thinking most of the time. He seems to always mean it.
Yeah. Might be talking cryptically, but there's no emotional subtext. It's sort of there on this. Yeah.
It's just there all on the surface. It appears to be.
What's this got to do? What's my ability, my 20-year-old ability to read cards?
Well, yours is the speaking. You could speak.
I mean, I also make a mean roast. I can knit. I've learned a lot of skills in the last 20 years that I would say are just as good as the card reading that I used to do when I was 19.
You don't even need the cards,
he says, and his voice changes as he says it. All three of you notice that his voice changes as he says it. And it's exactly the same phrase, and it's exactly the same voice.
That's the one
that
spoke to
Mel heard. So, Mel, can you give me an intelligence roll? I'm going to... no, would you like to make a reality check?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
So if you pass it, you're in danger of having to face a sanity roll. So if you fail...
While Mel's doing that, is it that it sounds to us like the voice we heard as well, or is it just the voice Mel heard? Because I know there were different...
It sounds like a very changed voice, something extra to it. Sounds a little bit like someone is impossibly doing a vocal effect on him.
Am I reading this off sanity?
So if you roll an intelligence roll...
Oh no, reality.
So it's just a term we use for it. So you didn't make an intelligence
reality check was sanity roll, wasn't it?
Yeah, technically. Essentially, it sort of is in the base rules. I suppose what I'm trying to go for here is, because we know, because people have gradually started to realise during the process of the journey that there are hallucinations in play. What I'm trying to go for is a sort of interim system whereby sometimes if you manage to work out the terrifying vision or the deception or the pleasing illusion is actually exactly that. It's an hallucination. That could arm you for a greater awareness of trusting or distrusting certain things coming your way. So it's the idea is it gives you this particular insight. But if you fail to see it, or if you think instinctively you wouldn't question it because you would just believe this, then it might be that there's no sound loss because the attempt to see past the illusion into a greater reality and understanding that these are hallucinations that are happening in front of me, that's terrifying, but it's not as terrifying perhaps as if they were real. That would just freak me out completely. But if you fail to see that, then you potentially stand to lose no sanity. Essentially, if she fails it, she doesn't have to make a sanity roll.
Okay.
Okay, I have failed it.
Yeah, so she doesn't understand the situation particularly, so it's like this weird psychological effect.
Yeah.
And you don't have to fully understand what's
like one of those kids' masks with a voice modulator on.
Doesn't seem to be an hallucination. Nothing supernatural apparently is happening. Yeah. The other two of you are aware that something very odd happened. All three of you are aware that something very odd has just happened, and it puts you on edge, perhaps, where you have developing instincts regarding what you might want to do next. But he says, your gift was always to be able to speak by having us all together around the room. And he gestures to Ray and Alicia. He can't remember which one of you said it, just like the keeper can't. In that conversation, you've been left alone. Angelica comes back. Dan, I'm going to play this as a combat round for you. This round, right. What's your dexterity?
Not going to be great, is it? 50.
Poor Eric. How much fighting is he going to manage with a massive hard on?
So Bridget's faster.
And a gammy hit.
Oh my word!
Bumping into all the furniture.
And you hear the dicing of something. And you hear a shout saying, I'm going to do more onions. And you hear this sort of chef level. Says, I've done them.
God.
And you hear them go into the pan. She rolled a 1.
How many arms does she have?
She chopped her onions as an extreme success.
Well.
Guess she knows her onions.
Glad she was only chopping onions.
What are you going to do? You've got one round before I return to the others.
Well, I go straight for the left-hand drawer, partly because I want the drugs, and partly because I need to know whether that voice was real and genuinely...
Yeah.
So I just go straight for it.
Yeah.
And root around frantically. Speed is what I'm going for. No subtlety, no stealth.
Can you give me an idea roll?
Yeah, I can. Very happy to. And here we go. That's a hard success.
Hey.
You get there, you pull the drawer open, you see the drugs. You see a rolled up, well, is it drugs? It's a rolled up pack in classic paraphernalia underneath 2 books. Classic, like, this is where you would hide some drugs.
Right.
And then you realise they can see you. All they have to do is turn and look. They can see you rifling through this drawer because you're right by the bay window.
Oh, he's frozen.
I take it anyway.
And you take it anyway, perfect.
I'm here now. They've seen me rifling.
Yeah.
They've seen me rifling.
Well, there's a chance they have.
Well, this is what I mean. Either they've seen me rifling,
so could you
they haven't.
Outside? Could you all give me spot hidden rolls?
Can I do a sleight of hand?
Yes, please do. Or indeed a stealth. I'll take either.
Suppose now they're the same for me actually.
Nice. I suppose they're opposed. You were absolutely right, Dom. It is opposed, isn't it? So we need to know what he rolls.
And then our spot hiddens.
David's absolutely failed that. I think...
I got a hard success.
And Angelica can't see.
I fumbled.
You fumbled the spot hidden. Excellent. That's so good.
100.
I failed.
100. Yes,
mate.
Mel. Yes.
Fucking hell.
Even I know that's a
failed.
fumble. Even I know that.
Yeah.
Well, I fumbled my sleight of hand.
You fumbled sleight of hand?
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Waste of a hard success.
And how did Alicia do?
99.
He hasn't spilt it on the
heart
floor,
of-
has he?
Well, maybe not. It might not be the waste of hard success.
I'm worried for him.
Eric's in the drugs.
Fumble. Was it a pass? Just remind me, Danan. What did you?
I know, fail.
A mess.
Fail.
Not a fumble, but a fail.
This big man. He's on all. I'm sort of imagining you're on all fours as you pull
Any
it.
of our patrons would like to buy me some new dice.
Or cocaine.
I'm straight. I think it's time. We need to do something there. Or just cocaine.
Cut that.
It's you.
Didn't mean that, Mum.
We can't endorse that.
You pull so hard, if you pardon the expression, especially in your state.
Yeah, work right.
You pull so hard. Well, actually, I'll take an invention from you if you'd like one for your fumble. But I know what the fumble is for Jeannie. I'll start there and I'll come back to you.
Fine.
I will get to you, Alicia. It's pretty unexciting for you with a straight pass, Ray.
Yeah, I just don't see. No, I was a fail, so I just don't.
A straight fail.
I see it move through the window, maybe.
You just don't see it. You're focusing on David. Angelica's coming out.
Yeah.
I think you see Angelica's sort of washed out face. She looks like she's suddenly realising maybe she's facing a bigger battle than she first thought psychologically. And all that's distracting you.
So her new boyfriend's friends are like, they're not great chat. It's not great crack.
Exactly.
Nah.
Jeannie,
Yo.
you see the golden spectacled man.
Oh, fucking hell.
He's standing inside the bay window. He just kind of comes out from the curtain, smiles at you, looks at Eric, and he looks at Eric. That's exactly what he does, and he goes and pulls this ridiculous face, almost like he's in a silent movie. And he's really enjoying it, this big, wide, horrible grin on his face. And he points at Eric Wilson and does this kind of, I'm crazy because I need that. And he does the line of Coke mime. And it's really expertly done. It's a real Harold Lloyd performance. Disturbing. And you have to admit, very entertaining. And then he turns to you and then he walks through the window and stands there and says, you'll like this. You'll like this a lot. I think now's our time. And Dan, do you have something to offer me? Because I've got something.
I do.
Yeah, perfect.
If it's all right, I think what happens is like how badly can you cock up taking a packet of something out of a drawer and stick it in your pocket? I do that bit fine. I grab it, shove it back in, but in my frantic nature to try and get this done, I slam the door shut and it rocks the whole chest of drawers. Everything comes tumbling off. Ornaments, smashing vases, photos, everything. I've got the drugs, but then the front room is chaos.
There's this lovely African sculpture with a mask on.
Oh God!
And it teeters as because the heaviest thing, and everything else has come off, and it teeters, and you think it's going to fall on your face, but amazingly, it falls away and hits the television, and the television starts to go. And there's a little table next to the television.
Oh, fuck.
And as the television goes, it smacks into the little table, and the table flips.
Is there a fishbowl? Is there a fishbowl?
and a fishbowl starts just rolling off. And what?
And the goldfish.
Yeah.
It's like the OK Go video with the Rube Goldberg machine.
And Bridget comes out and goes, Eric, is that an erection?
And your zips just come undone.
That's the first thing.
Come undone, your bell end just sticking out your
She
trousers.
walks into the room, she trips.
Oh, God.
falls.
Forgive me, I've been very unwell.
And that's the point you reach
Clearly.
all over her.
No.
I'm not sure that's how Viagra works.
It does for him for some reason. Imagine that's the closest. Yeah, I imagine that's what he needs to get it to work.
We might have to do a warning before this one. Modern,
Just this one.
modern
The whole
Cthulhu. Yeah,
scenario.
just this one. Just this one.
Oh, they
We've
know
never had
by
any other
now.
problems when it
Come
comes to
on.
that. I think they definitely know by now. So,
I feel like the engorged cock is a character just as much as any of us.
He's
Yeah.
had it for about 3 hours.
Ramen barks.
Ramen and the cock. They've got their own spin-off show.
He's had this stiffy for so long. It's a medical emergency now, really.
Should give it a name.
Yeah, we should give it a name. What should we call it?
Crisis.
Fumble.
Alicia, I think you see all of this happening, of course. You see all of this happening. I think, I mean, in truth, it's moments later that Ray picks up on stuff happening because this is such an awful kind of collision. But what he misses and what you saw is, Alicia, you see the curtain moving in a weird way, and then you see a glint of gold just outside of the window, and the grass depresses as if someone is standing there.
Ugh. Ooh, is that sanity?
I think that is a sanity roll, and I'm going to have a sanity roll as well from Mel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
While we're talking about sanity, I don't know whether it's bad form to volunteer, but the fact that this voice was right, and I did find some drugs exactly where this disembodied voice.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like maybe.
I concur, and thank you for keeping me legit.
And all Ray sees is he doesn't see all the stuff collapsing. He just looks up. He just...
Sorry.
Ray just sees him with his knob out, facing what's her face. Doesn't see the chaos.
And instantly brains himself with his own dog. Let's see, he hasn't got his cock out just yet.
Well, I failed my sanity there,
Jesus.
unsurprisingly.
Me too.
Ah, that is going to be 1. You are convinced that something is observing you.
I've had a massive success.
Oh.
I think it's still going to be 1.
Fuck you.
Because you recognise this is an hallucination, surely, to God.
I think I'm looking straight at... if I can tear my eyes away from gold spectacled gentleman, I'm looking at David. Because I want to know if David is looking... if he can see him too.
And I think in that moment, the grass springs back up, as if no one is no longer standing there. And as you look away, the vision of this golden spectacled, tweed-suited gentleman disappears.
Oh my God.
And David looks at you both. He failed to spot hidden, so he sort of looks at you both as if he's coming out of a slight reverie. I wouldn't say it was the same for you, Alicia, that it's the same sort of reverie that he might have been involved with anything. It's just like a genuine reverie of, I need to think about this. And he smiles at Angelica as she comes back. And he says, I'm so sorry, Angelica. I think my friends are right. To a certain extent. I don't think anything that we've done is wrong, and you know I love you. But tonight is not the night to confront this realm. Would you be happy to go with Mel to Marie's? I think the 3 of you should talk. I think Marie is best at understanding such things.
All right.
And I wouldn't feel safe knowing that I had offended you, my friends. I wouldn't feel safe knowing that that Marie's alone without you, Mel. And I wouldn't feel safe for Marie and Angelica. Yes.
How far away does she live? Can we walk there, or... Only I've not got my car here, so...
Why don't you take my car? I'll drive over later if we have to, which I think we will. Why don't we meet you there after dinner?
Okay. Will Marie know that we're coming?
I'll text her now.
Okay.
She knows that you're here, of course.
Why don't we start a group WhatsApp? Because
What should we call it? Wait, can I choose an icon? I'd love to choose an icon.
Moonchild.
You and I both know Nathan won't do that.
Yeah, let's call it like Children of the Moon or something.
And I've not spoken to Greg for years, he says, wistfully.
On that, I know it's an odd situation, but on that, it sort of prompts me maybe to just say, how about Nathan? You spoken to him recently?
I know he won't like a group thread, as I just said. Perhaps you missed it.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I did.
Nathan won't want to be on a group thread. You know, he gets very suspicious about anybody observing him.
Yeah.
He doesn't do WhatsApp at all.
No, he's on Signal.
Isn't that right, Angelica? Angelica nods, but that same tension about the whole subject of Nathan.
Yeah.
And you see David gleaning that for the first time. And he says, unless... Oh dear. Well...
What?
Perhaps we should go in. Would you be all right, Mel, to go with Angelica?
Okay.
Take my car. And he points to quite a nice silver Citroen Picasso.
What does a cult leader drive?
Former cult leader.
What does a former cult leader drive?
Former, never fully declared as cult leader, but charismatic leader of an occult society.
MX-5.
Yeah.
A Prius.
Actually, do you know what his car would probably because you've got to get up that fucking hill to the primary school, wouldn't it? It would be SUV style.
Doomsday Prepper's car.
It'd be off the ground.
A Hummer.
Is it a Qashqai?
Qashqai.
It's a Qashqai. It's a
Nissan
Qashqai.
Qashqai.
I mean, how steep is the hill? Because I can tell you from experience, they ain't great on hills.
Okay, well, maybe not. But it's the kind of thing you feel safe driving, right?
Our Qashqai, side note, has the same size engine as our Clio did, but this car is about 3 times the size.
Is it a Juke? I hate those.
Just for show.
Is it a Juke?
No, I think I was going to say that it might even be a
Chevy.
a Volvo
70s.
Volvo X60.
My favourite car.
Yeah, it might even be
Volvo
that.
XC60.
Oh.
Here we are talking about cars again. We do this quite a lot.
It's the time of life.
Yeah.
If it's a Volvo XC60, I'm going to get in that fucker and I'm going to drive it out of town.
Tear it up.
Dom's fallen asleep. Poor guy.
How do you how do they start cars in the 21st century?
Yeah, is there a crank underneath, or do you have to...
Do you know what?
Only we knew.
I think you have to roll
Press a nipple up against...
to try and work it out because it's so fucking hard. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to put your nipple against someone. You put your nose into a
It has
box.
become as mysterious now as it was 100 years ago, I think.
Come into a box. That's so revolting.
It said nose. It said nose into a box. Did you guys get away from priapic Eric over there?
I thought you said hum into a box.
Hump into a box, maybe. I mean, like, I don't know. There's probably Audi drivers. They probably like that, right? Oh.
When you knows, you knows.
When you knows, you know.
What's Mel gonna do?
Mel... Like, this whole situation is very fucking weird. I thought it would be nice to see my old friends again. And it has been nice to see these guys, but David is like... This whole situation with David and Bridget, and now Sarah, and now Angelica... I'm not enjoying it, let alone these weird visitations from the gold spectacled man in the tweed suit. I'm kind of... I'm irritated, of course. I'm not going to be there on the big... some sort of reveal between Bridget and David and these guys, but at the same time I do feel quite protective of Angelica, and I do want to be with her right now. That kind of trumps my curiosity as to my anger. And also, I get to go and see Marie. Where are we? Yeah. So it's just another hang, my friends.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, we'll go.
Yeah. And you've definitely put more sort of effort and points into that relationship with her than anyone else could or has. So it's, I don't think she'd be safe. Yeah.
Was it Marie that Alicia was hoping to meet in the pub?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Angelica steps forward and goes, I don't know about this. Don't I get a say in this? And you see a sort of petulance, which, increases how pretty she looks, but you realise that she really is young in that moment. Yeah. She's not experienced.
Well, don't I get a say in this? I have to say I have arranged to meet Marie tonight. So,
yeah.
Oh, have you? I'm so sorry. And yes, Angelica, of course... Let's talk about this. Do you mean, Alicia, you'd rather maintain that private meeting? I don't think you don't want Angelica there, do you? He looks confused.
I don't mind if it's a private meeting or what, or if she just comes and joins us. I think that'd probably be quite helpful. But all I'm saying is, I don't want her to think that I've made plans that they're never reneged on. You know what I mean? If I don't turn up. So why don't we go and meet her at the pub, well, like I arranged, but Mel, you come with me. And then Ray, you go and deal with Eric and his the way his trousers are rucked up. And I don't know. Why are we meeting Marie again? I know why I'm meeting Marie. Why are you meeting? David, why do you want us to go and meet Marie? Why are you so resistant to us getting together around a dinner table, really hashing it out, really getting to the bottom of this?
Great.
I'm not. It was Ray and Mel said that they didn't think it was fair or right, and I've listened to them and I said, Angelica, I think you must not confront this realm this evening. And he says this in a sort of weighted way. He looks at her in a weighted way, even as you say that.
Anyone else getting a weird feeling like we're being watched?
And he's not countering.
I feel like just now it was like there was someone over in the grass.
Hands up, to be fair, he's right.
Anyone else feel like that?
Yeah, by the window, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I was sort of joking, but I did feel it, but then I thought, well, that's just silly. But if you felt it as well, then that means it was real.
No, I saw him. It was a man.
What?
Gold spectacled bloke in a tweed suit, and he was in the living room, and then he came through the window and was on the grass for a minute, and then he just disappeared.
David, friend of yours?
Gold spectacled in a tweed suit. What?
Good looking fella.
What sort of era?
What?
Don't know what.
Angelica takes a step back, looking at you all as if...
Ooh, what a weird question.
You all sound crazy. Did he seem from a different time?
Yeah.
The 30s, 20s?
30s, yeah. It was like he was dressed up for a party in a nice...
He starts looking around, his hand goes to his chest, and he goes, everybody should get inside.
What?
Now. Everyone should go inside.
Ooh, fucking crumbs.
Fucking crumbs. Fucking crumbs.
Do you go inside?
Yeah.
What? Even if he came from inside, that fella?
Mel.
All right.
I take Angelica's hand and I lead her inside.
Well, I was going to be staying here anyway, so I'm going to move inside if the others are. Certainly.
And David begins to walk behind you. So all of you, including Ramen, are going back inside. Meanwhile, inside...
Oh, just before we go inside, I'm going to say, as we're walking to the house,
Yes.
I'm texting Marie and saying, something weird's happened. Might not be able to meet you. Come to David's. We're all at David's. It's weird. Send.
Send. You get a text immediately back. No, not David's. Come to mine. I have the table. Capital T.
Oh. Love it.
It's within reason, but only just. It's as if she sat there looking at her phone, waiting for a text.
So immediately, is it the second he sends it?
In which case I text back.
Or is it
all
just
right.
like...
She is always very prompt. She works in a bank.
Okay.
Dated a banker. One fucking prompt with his text. Anyway,
Sorry, it wasn't me. Anyway.
Good point. So, I mean, maybe that gives you pause. Do you hesitate?
No, I text back straight away. I text back. Okay, we'll try. Can't promise. Should we bring David? And Bridget? Question mark?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, everyone. More the merrier.
Good idea.
Kiss, kiss.
All caps, exclamation mark, I reply. And then I give her the middle finger emoji, and then immediately reply with the thumbs up emoji and an asterisk. Which is what my boss has done to me before, which I thought was hilarious. She just said,
She replies
see you Saturday. Whoa! And then she immediately sent thumbs up. Really made me laugh.
She replies with, "There's something in the air tonight!" Exclamation mark. Been thinking of you all, with a U.
All right, Elton John. I don't send that. I send back a GIF of Kevin Costner.
Doing what?
I don't know. I want to type it.
I have to know.
Let's find it.
Coming in a little box in the car.
I just feel like Kevin Costner is probably something she goes towards. Let's have a look.
It's that rare scene from Yellowstone that no one likes to talk about.
I love that we're playing all these characters like they're in their 70s and they're the same age as us.
Hey, she's not the same
very
age as
swift
me. She's
texting.
10 years older than me.
I think Mary is texting very similarly to me, revealingly.
Myself.
So, Dan Wheeler as Eric Wilson.
Yes.
Bridget steps out. She looks wonderful. How did you feel about Bridget back in the day?
Well, I mean, I mainly had eyes for Alicia, I think, but...
Yeah. Well, we all... Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all knew that's what I was going to say.
Oh, right.
Of the 13.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that... Yeah. Just checking.
So, yeah, I think she was perhaps unattainably beautiful in a way that meant I wasn't really interested.
I mean, she's aged, but she looks really well. She looks really, and she's always been a carer. She's always been someone who nurtures others, and she takes pride in it. And that comes with a complex sequence of deals and trades, and she hasn't perhaps made as much of herself as she might have done. You always felt.
In my head, she was a cross at college between like Kate Bush and Bjork. She had that sort of vibe of like, beautiful and glamorous in a sort of like ethereal way.
Which goes to show how much Ray projected onto her. But how true all of that also is.
I thought sort of maybe a little bit more like of a Meg Ryan type figure.
Possibly in the way she looks. Yeah, she's blonde. She's that wouldn't be 1,000 miles away from the truth. She sort of looks a bit stunned. Let's say she's got a bottle of wine and 6 glasses tucked in her fingers.
Nice.
Like a wine waiter, as no doubt she did at one stage. There's some excellent mimes going on.
Go on, everyone.
How offensive some of those.
One for me, one for you.
Methods could be of pouring 6 glasses of wine and indeed, offensive hand gestures. Which is a pity because, you didn't do that while it was their turn, Dan, so I appreciate your efforts. You hear a voice from upstairs going, "Mum, is everything all right?" And she goes, "I think so. One of Daddy's old friends has just knocked the television over by accident."
I'm so sorry.
And she smiles. And she just goes, "What on earth is going on?"
I'm not quite sure. I was going to ask you that, Bridget.
Oh God. And she rushes over to you and goes, and she looks at what's in your hand. She goes, Eric. Is that your... quick, hide that. And she sort of tries to put it into your... Are you wearing a jacket?
Yeah, I think I probably am.
Yeah, she tries to get it and kind of... Because where your hand is, she can't... So let's just do a dexterity roll. Yeah, she fails. She fails her the packet of drugs, right?
Oh, okay.
So she gets, but she fails her dexterity roll. So she just bashes into your erect penis with the drugs, and then she goes, "Oh God, I'm so sorry, and she starts giggling.
I put them in my pocket myself.
She starts giggling. "I'm so sorry. Michael cannot see that. God, what? How did you cause this much? How? In 10 seconds? What?"
And then Eric turns around and sweeps all the standing lamps over with his cock.
I mean, it's not quite as erect as that, yeah.
Smashes all the snow globes.
But this comedy tomfoolery can stop, and you can actually have a scene with her now.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's rather difficult, isn't it? I mean,
Is she going to pick the fish up? I'm really worried about the fish.
difficult to ignore the elephant in the room.
She's laughing. She bends down and she goes to get the fish. She whacks her forehead against your cock, of course, as she goes down. So, God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But she's sort of on her hands and knees, and she gets this fish, and it's sort of slipping around. It's still alive, and she goes, "Let me just put this in water. Come through to the kitchen."
The cock or the fish?
For God's sake!
You're right. In a minute, I think maybe a drink would help.
Do you think putting it in water will be okay? She says, pointing at you.
No. I mean, I think alcohol, brewer's droop. Maybe that's what I need.
Have that. It's a Chardonnay. It was planned actually for the cheese, but that's the fashion these days. And she goes through and goes, a friend of mine recommended it to me, and it's just like old times. You remember being in the flat when you moved out in the second year and you weren't in halls anymore?
I think at this stage, like the fact that she's being so nice about it,
Carry on, Sarah Kane.
this conversation, and it does feel like back in the day. I start giggling myself, and I'm like, there is something, isn't there, in that, like, that someone you have known for 20 years and you met when you were a student, inevitably, you could fall back into a more immature relationship much more easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that is what happens, because that's the only thing that can happen given the ridiculous nature of the situation.
And I think the boldness, you feel that she's picking up on it too, and she goes, I mean, Christ, I never knew it was so big, David. I mean, not David. Oh, Freudian slip. God. And she starts sort of pouring water, and then she's coming back to you with two glasses, one with a fish in and one with just water for you.
Oh, God.
And she probably gives you the fish by accident. Oh, sorry. And then...
Oh, you meant to put the fish in water. I thought you were talking about my God.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, God. Mum, what's going on? It's all right, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
You've finished your homework.
Honestly,
I'll come down.
This was something of a narcotic mishap.
No, don't worry. He's had an accident. He's having an accident.
It's just don't worry, Michael. It's just a swelling.
Juberance.
Get some hydrocortisone.
I think I'm not gonna. You don't have to do a listen roll, but I think you do hear. Oh God, these people are so weird. You get the impression that it's like a man's voice. It's a man's voice.
Right.
I mean, not that old, but
I better have a drink. I better have a glass of that wine.
Christ, I think I need one too. Here, are you still as good in the kitchen as you are in the? And she hesitates. She goes, in the accountancy office. Was it solicitors? Remind me.
I guess we'll find out. Do you have an overhanging worktop?
you might need an apron. She goes off. I think she's becoming hysterical, and the tears are coming. The tears are coming, and she starts to just she's really struggling to look at you. I think I might be struggling slightly.
I think that's one of the best scenes I've ever heard.
At that point, as the two of you go into the kitchen, the other four of you and Ramen come in.
Yeah.
And five of you. Sorry, Angelica and as well. Ramen come in, and David immediately turns around and takes Angelica by the hand and says, "Here, why don't you go up and see Michael? He'd like that." And he takes... give me a spot hidden, you three.
Me as well.
They'd be about the same age, Michael and...
All three of you... Yes, they'd be around the same age. Michael's older. A couple of years older.
95 for me.
Right.
That's a fail.
Oh, I failed by 2, but I think if anyone else succeeds, I won't spend the luck.
Oh no, I failed horribly. 80.
So all three of you see him put her hand on his chest in that moment. It's a passing moment. Do you want to spend the luck for the spot hidden, or would you like to just...
Yeah, I'm going to spend 2 luck.
Yeah. And you see a glow there underneath his hand, but the colour is different. Now it's red. Where before it was white and gold, this is deep red, bordering on scarlet.
And it's on his hand, not his chest. When he...
It's underneath his... It's exactly the same place where he placed her hand on his chest.
Right, okay.
And she goes...
Like a torch behind the hand.
Yeah, exactly, but that kind of really deep red colour. And she goes, yes, that's right, I'll do that. And she walks straight up the stairs.
Can I do a psychology roll in that moment?
Well, I think all three of you get a psychology roll to see the ways she's doing that. But I think you definitely get a bonus die for that. Right.
Okay, great.
Now, did you fumble your spot hidden?
No.
No, 95. 96 would have been. Yeah.
I just got a 95 on my fucking psychology.
Both times?
Not a fumble.
Both times?
Oh, no.
Roll the 9.
Very good.
But I'll take a spot hidden from... Yeah.
I failed horribly.
10.
This is psychology,
Oh, I know.
right? Yeah, fail.
15. 15. So you got 15. Okay. Yeah, that's...
Which is a lot better.
How did Mel do?
Failed.
I mean, it's the word that leaps into your mind, hypnosis. That's what you think of. You think of hypnosis in that moment.
Yeah.
It's just the way she walks. It's just so controlled, and then she goes upstairs.
Yeah. Automaton.
But what you do all see is, in that moment, you all turn to see this chaos, and he smiles and goes, "Oh dear, I think there was a bit of an accident. I don't understand."
Oh.
Bridget, there was an accident. Oh yes, poor Eric. He was trying to
I was taken.
Yes, taken
Ill.
very suddenly, but he's fine now. We just
I had a funny turn.
he needed a glass of something. I think we all do.
Sorry, David, I've been very ill.
He's helping me with the cooking now.
Giggling and apologies for how inappropriate this is, but I'm giggling and I'm like,
I've been very ill, David. I've got cancer.
Yeah, and Bridget looks at you in sort of horror, but she's just putting this apron on top of you, and she just starts to pat the apron down and goes, "Really? Do you have?"
and I'm sort of laughing,
You really
like,
have?
but tears welling up in my eyes.
And David opens his arms out and goes, "It's all right. I know.
Oh, I thought you might.
The goddess told me." And he looks at all of you and goes, "Mel, take the car with Angelica and drive to Marie's. We may have time. If you take her now, we may have time. Please." It's open. He doesn't hide it, but it's low. So could Dan's character give me a listening roll? Eric?
Yeah.
But he suddenly changes from this sort of open, ebullient, there's laughter from Bridget. You were all beginning to be infected by that laughter, even, at a slight remove, perhaps for Alicia. She's suspicious, I suspect. Ray, you're suspicious. You're all suspicious.
I think having been there in the car with Mel and Angelica, I sort of say to Mel, like, it's all right. I can, if you want to, I can keep tabs on things here.
I can see that there's a new energy the way that David's talking to me, and it feels more genuine and urgent, and feels like it's actually a human being talking to me for the first time this evening since I've met him again. And maybe there's a power in what he's asking, which is sort of irresistible. So I think I nod, and I call Angelica's name.
He steps forward and goes, "Oh, it's all right. I'll get her at the right moment. Here are the keys." And he gives you the keys, and he turns to you, Alicia, and says, "I say that you could go with her, but you don't have the heart, and she does."
You what?
I get goose flesh all up my arms.
And it'll only work for one, I'll explain.
I think you'd better.
You have the heart, don't you, Mel?
Yes. Yeah, I do. I do have it, David.
You took it from the Pit Rivers, didn't you?
How did you know that?
She tells me these things. The goddess.
I did. Yeah, I did.
And it will protect you, which is why only you can be there with Marie.
All right. I'll go.
We'll follow. I promise.
And with that, Mel heads out to the car.
Oh,
bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Just in case any listeners were wondering what happened, I'm
so sorry.
My listen.
I wanted to come back
nice.
to it, but
No. It's fine because I failed it. It wasn't really relevant, but I thought just in case anyone was like, "What happened with that?" I failed it.
we need that. We need that shit.
I think it makes sense because I think it's got to the point where I've got like ringing in my ears with all this chaos, this hysterical laughing, crying, with just whoa.
But also, it makes you weirdly, perversely, in that psychological way that it does. You think, well, maybe if I just took something else,
Yeah.
that would, and you feel that compulsion.
You have made yourself high. Why trust one drug and not another?
That comes back to me. I used to watch that film a lot. Of course, we all did. We'd all watch that film a lot at university. I thought it was hilarious.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
It was the 90s. What could you do?
All the down your pants. I mean,
Oh God. I've got. Do cut that. Actually, do cut that. That's horrible.
It's so good, though. It's
not
dark
embarrassed.
poetry.
sneeze coming.
What you're doing isn't fair. You're a joker, an entertainer. Mine this Monday and hers on Tuesday. What's your vision? Count me
Hello. Just a quick word from me, Joseph. I won't keep you too long, I promise. I wanted to let you know that The Moonchild is from the collection Nameless Horrors by Paul Fricker, Scott Dorward, and Matt Sanderson. Collectively, they're known as the Good Friends of Jackson Elias, and they're good friends of ours, as it happens. And if you haven't already, we urge you to check out their podcast about Call of Cthulhu, horror films, and horror gaming in general. It's a treasure trove of fascinating discussion on all aspects of the hobby, from three of the top minds on Call of Cthulhu in the world, we'd say. And it's a podcast that has proved invaluable and inspirational to me personally. You can find the Good Friends of Jackson Elias wherever you get your podcasts, or just go to blasphemoustomes.com. The link's in the show notes. And thanks for listening.